Okay, since last time I've added the second strip for the disruptor bank lighting here. I'm going to support that on. Then I've got the other fiber optics ran into place, and it's hard to see that clear epoxy, but these are all now sealed with epoxy and coming out. They've all been bloomed, pulled back within the ship. Okay, and I'm ready to continue on with the wiring, which is what I'm going to start on now. Is actually coming up with the wiring breakout, where I can start to pull some of these wires together, have a place to concentrate those before I get too many dangling out in various positions. So I want to work now on building a breakout board to get this wiring under control and to have a way to route the wiring through our mounting hole, which is now also epoxied to the base of the ship. Okay, today what we're going to start with is a plan for the wiring. What I'm showing here is basically the design where I'm using a 20-pin insulation displacement connector, a 20-pin dual row header, 20-pin flat ribbon cable, multicolored, and a perf board. And what I'm going to do is combine these parts with a way to provide the signals from the base to the model itself, and break those out and deliver the proper voltages and timing and signals to the individual LEDs that compose the lighting system for the model. Okay, now I'm going to start on doing a little of the wiring, additional wiring, trying to bring everything together. And here's the parts I'm going to be using for this. Perforated board in the upper left hand corner, 20-pin dual IDC or insulation displacement connector, 20-pin flat ribbon cable, and a 20-pin header. We'll look at the perf board. It's basically the size I need. I'm going to just cut this to the length I need, because I only really need like 4 pins wide by 10 pins tall. So I'm going to actually saw this board. The IDC connector or insulation displacement, the way it works, you put the flat ribbon cable in there, and each one of these connector pins that are in the bottom comes up to a point. When you press that top down onto those connectors, they're designed to actually pierce the plastic coating on the ribbon cable and mate with the metal part of the cable inside. So basically, it's place the cable in. It just needs to be as straight as possible, and then crimp that top down onto the cable, which will make the connections. You'll make all 20 connections at one time. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. They have specialty tools to do this, but a vise, hobby vise, works great also. Multi-conductor flat ribbon cable. This is a 20 conductor. And then the IDC connector here, it's 2 rows, and it's actually 40 pins, but it's easy to cut to length. Okay, I placed the IDC connector on top of the header, and the only reason to do that is a quick and accurate way to count those pins. So I know I need to make my cut right here, and basically I'm going in with my pliers and clipping that into, I can't do it on camera, but I will do that momentarily. It won't take me just a second. Really easy to do. I have the perf board. I place the perf board in my little hobby cutting tool, and I'm going to be just taking my saw, running it down through there, and I will sacrifice the 5th row of pins because, like I said earlier, I only want the 4 rows of holes This is a double-sided plated through board, so if you make a connection to one side, it will make a connection to the other side for you. And by doing that, it's going to be a little bit easier to wire up, but we'll show that momentarily. Right now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this board to size. Okay, now I've went and took the header that was cut to 20 pins, and I've got it in a clamp. The clamp holds it on the circuit board nice and straight. I'm going ahead to solder half the end. I'll switch the clamp around and get the other half of the end. Okay, I've finished with the connector now. It's installed on the board, and all the connections are soldered. They're all nice and bright. This is going to be the end that's going to be inside the base of the model. Inside the model itself. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is make sure that cable is in there straight and put it inside the vise. Try to get the cable and not the fingers. And basically just tighten it down. Okay, now what that did is all those little teeth inside there pushed through each one of these cables and made a connection, an electrical connection with the pins that's in this header. And when I plug it on this header, I'll be able to break all those pins out individually to be wired in the ship. And then this cable will go down the support rod into the base where the electronics are. So now that I got my little header made, I'm going to eventually have it on a standoff mounted. But for doing the wiring part, it's going to be just kind of dangling inside here. And I've got to take this wire, which is an impulse wire, and I've got my plan over here showing that I want my impulse engines to be on pins 9 and 10. My red wire and green wire, I'm going to cut them to fit, run them around the connector, and connect those to pins 9 and 10 like my wiring diagram shows here for impulse engines. Okay, what I've got now is I took this other side of the perf board, put a jack for my 12 volt DC supply. Then I have a 1 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, 7805 5 volt regulator, a 0.1 microfarad capacitor on the 5 volt side, and basically I went to the other end here, and everywhere it was being driven by 5 volts from the Arduino, I strapped it hard to 5 volts. 12 volts to 12 volts, and of course grounds to grounds. And now, as a net result of doing that wiring, I do have the lighting done for the front portion of the engineering deck here. I also have the impulse engines strapped solid, and of course the strobe on the bottom strapped solid. So all the wiring at this point is working. Again, it's all on this little breakout board, which is going to the little power supply. Okay, now I'm working on the upper portion of the engineering deck, and since this portion was actually thinner, when I held it up to a bright light, I did see some light bleed, so I went ahead and painted this with a flat black primer, and I'm going to go back and give it another light coat of primer to make sure it's absolutely sealed. And then I'm going to look at going over to this side, because I have the cone that I'm going to have to illuminate, as well as a light off either side of this, and some additional lights on the back of the shuttle bay back there. So Gonna look at getting those portions done, and I'll be back shortly.